My wife's divorced friends told her marriage was holding her back. She asked for a divorce to discover herself. I said, "You're right," then helped her discover a few things she didn't see coming. Hello Reddit I plus here. My name is Evan Hayes. I'm 38, a mechanical engineer, and until a year ago, I was married to a woman I thought was my partner for life, Danielle, 36. We met in college. She studied graphic design. I studied engineering. We started from scratch together. I still remember eating ramen on the floor of our first apartment, laughing about how someday we'd have a big kitchen and hardwood floors. Well, we got all that. A nice house in the suburbs, 2 decent cars, careers we were proud of, and a 5-year-old son named Levi who's the best part of me. But let me tell you something. All of that means nothing when one person decides the life you built together is suddenly not good enough. It started subtle, like these things always do. Danielle got close with a new group of women from her yoga class. Most of them were recently divorced or going through some sort of awakening, as she called it. They'd have wine nights, book clubs that were more about complaining than reading, and these long talks about finding their true selves. At first, I thought it was harmless. I mean, we all need friends, right? But the conversation started creeping into our marriage. She'd say things like, "Do you ever wonder if we just settled too soon? Or maybe we didn't give ourselves time to explore who we really are?" I didn't argue. I just listened, tried to be supportive. Maybe she was just hitting a phase, a little midlife doubt. I was patient, until she came home one night, stood in our kitchen with a glass of wine in hand and said, "Evan, I want a divorce. I need to rediscover myself." No affair, no scandal, just that. I remember staring at her, stunned. My first thought was for Levi. Then my second thought? Number. This isn't about finding herself. This is about influence. I had seen the signs, how her tone had changed, how she began romanticizing the single life her friends talked about like it was some paradise. But I didn't argue. I didn't beg. I didn't even get angry. I simply said, "You're right. Maybe you do need to rediscover who you are. And maybe I can help you uncover a few things you've been too blind to see." She looked confused, but I smiled. A quiet, calm smile, because she had no idea what she'd just unleashed. The first thing I did was call my lawyer. Not out of spite, but to prepare. You see, while Danielle was out finding herself, I was quietly taking inventory. Financially, we were solid, but I had always been the one managing the accounts. She never took much interest. That would prove useful. We owned our house, but I had paid 80% of the down payment from an inheritance before we married. I still had the paperwork. She never asked to be added to the deed. She just assumed. And her car? Leased in my name. Joint accounts? I moved most of the funds to my personal business account, leaving the minimum we'd agreed to for bills. But it wasn't just the legal stuff. There was something else. A few weeks before her big self-discovery moment, I'd gotten a call from a guy named Mark. I didn't know him personally, but he was the husband of one of Danielle's yoga friends. He said something that stuck. "Evan, just watch her. That group of women? They're not helping each other. They're enabling disaster. My wife cheated. I found out too late. Don't be like me." So I watched, carefully. One evening, I set up an old phone in the living room, synced it to a cloud account, and hit record. A few days later, Danielle had a few of her friends over. I acted normal, poured drinks, smiled, excused myself early to finish a project in the garage, but I was watching the feed. That's when I heard one of her friends laugh and say, "So, have you told him about Brad yet?" Danielle giggled. Not nervously, confidently. "Not yet. I mean, technically nothing's happened yet, but once the divorce is filed, who knows?" Brad, a name that meant nothing to me, until I did some digging. Turns out Brad was her freelance photographer friend, who she'd been networking with for months. I didn't confront her. Not yet. Instead, I called my lawyer again. We amended the filing to include the cloud footage, legally obtained, clearly recorded in our shared home. And it got even better, or worse, depending on how you see it. Brad, he wasn't just her friend. He was her graphic design client, married, 2 kids. I reached out to his wife. Yeah, now we're getting somewhere. When Danielle finally served me papers, after a week of thinking time, I had mine ready too. Only mine included. Proof of her emotional affair. Financial breakdowns showing how she'd contributed less than 25% over the years. Testimonies from both Mark and Brad's wife about how this group of self-discovering women had systematically pushed each other into sabotaging their marriages. Oh, and did I mention? I had Levi's school re-enrollment forms already updated with my new address. I'd bought a smaller house 5 blocks away, paid in full, under my name only. We went to mediation. She was stunned when she realized she wouldn't be getting the house, or spousal support, or full custody. She cried. genuinely cried. "I didn't think you'd actually go through with it," she said. "I thought maybe you'd fight for me." I looked her in the eye and said, "I did fight. For us. For years. You just weren't paying attention. I got 70-30 custody. She got the leased car I transferred into her name. I walked away with my dignity, my son, and my peace. A few months after the divorce, she called me, said she was sorry, that Brad ghosted her, that the women she thought were her tribe had moved on, found new projects. She said she felt alone. I didn't gloat. I didn't rub it in. I just said, sometimes rediscovering yourself means confronting the part of you that was never really lost, just ignored, and I hung up. So no, I didn't chase after her when she left. I helped her find exactly what she was looking for. Consequences. And me? I'm still rediscovering myself too. Only now, I do it without lies, without games, and with Levi by my side, knowing he's growing up watching a man who didn't fold when everything crumbled. A man who stood tall, who loved with everything, and let go when it was time. Life looked different now, simpler, calmer. My mornings started with Levi crawling into bed and asking for pancakes, not arguments over who had yoga or brunch plans. I didn't wake up wondering if I was enough for someone who didn't even know what she wanted. I woke up knowing I was the anchor in my son's life, and for the first time in a long time, in my own life too. Danielle still had visitation. She tried her best, I'll give her that, but the sparkle she once had, the confidence she wore like perfume, was gone. The world hadn't given her the adventure it promised when she walked away. Her friends had moved on to their next awakenings. Brad, he left town. His marriage shattered beyond repair. His ex-wife actually thanked me for reaching out, said I saved her from wasting any more years on a man living a double life. Every now and then, Danielle would still try to talk to me after a drop-off. Not about Levi. About us. "I just miss how safe I felt with you," she'd say once, standing in the driveway as our son ran inside. I didn't say anything. I just looked at her. A part of me wanted to ask, then why did you run toward chaos? But I didn't. Because I wasn't that man anymore. The one who needed her validation. I had learned to be whole on my own. One day, about 14 months after the divorce, I was picking Levi up from school when his teacher pulled me aside. She smiled, warm but curious. "Evan, can I ask you something?" "Of course. Your son talks about you all the time. How you two cook together, read at night, build Lego cities. He says you're his best friend." I chuckled. "He says that to butter me up for ice cream." She smiled again, then said something that stuck with me. "Whatever happened between you and his mom, thank you. For being present. For being steady. It shows." That moment hit me harder than anything Danielle ever said. Because while she had left to find herself in the noise of others, I had found myself in the quiet of fatherhood, in the sound of my son's laughter, in the simple peace of a life rebuilt brick by brick, not for show, not for pride, but for truth. A twist of closure. It wasn't until Levi's 6th birthday that the final chapter of this story wrote itself. We threw a backyard party. Nothing crazy. Just family, a few friends, some burgers and balloons. Danielle showed up late, holding a gift bag with guilt behind her smile. After the party, once everyone had left, she asked if we could talk, just 5 minutes. I agreed. We stood by the garden, same spot where I had once planted sunflowers for her. She looked at the dirt, then at me. "Evan, I know I don't deserve to say this, but I wish I hadn't listened to them. I wish I'd fought for you like you did for me. You were always solid. I was just too wrapped up in noise to hear what really mattered." I looked at her, and for a moment, I saw the woman I had once loved, not the lost version that left, but the one who used to dream with me. But the difference now? I didn't need her to say it. I wasn't waiting for closure, so I said gently, "Danielle, we both made choices, but only one of us stuck around to face them. I hope you truly do find yourself someday. But that journey no longer includes me." She nodded, tears in her eyes. I handed her Levi's leftover birthday cake and walked back inside. That night, as Levi fell asleep on my chest, arms curled around me like I was his whole world, I realized something. She left thinking marriage held her back, but the truth? She wasn't running from the marriage. She was running from herself. And I didn't just survive it. I became the man I was always meant to be, strong, free, and finally at peace.